Hello everybody, it's AndreJMcClendon. Welcome to the show. This video is going to be about the recession and how you guys can plan for it and make some gains. Let's go. Alright guys, so before we jump into how you guys are going to be making some money off this recession and how you guys can plan for it, let's talk about your budget. The most important thing, how are you managing your current income and how are you managing debt if you have it? So what you need to do is create a budget and stick to it. And it's so important that you know what your liabilities are, what's coming in, what's going out, so you can plan for everything else if something bad happens. So another thing we need to get into after you have your budget, you need to see if you can make another significant income during a recession or drawdown if your main source of income goes away. So here's a quote from Warren Buffett. So if Warren Buffett talks about having multiple streams of income, you should have something too, just in case something happens to your main source of income. The budget, second source of income, and here's our third one. The next thing is an emergency fund. This is extremely important. I tell people before you jump into investing and the possibility of losing a large sum of money, you need to have an emergency fund from 3 to 6 months of expenditures. So if you spend $5,000 a month, you need to have $15,000 to $30,000 in cash reserves just in case you lose your job or whatever happens. Just make sure you have an emergency fund. So if things hit the fan, you guys have your emergency fund. All right, guys, and the last one before we talk about how to make some gains, look at some charts. You guys need to make a choice. Now, the recession is coming. I'm going to go into some charts and why. But you need to make a choice. You either want to stay the same where you are at, or go to a worse or go to a better, because people are going to be making a ton of money on this recession. And if you want to be part of it, then listen to what I'm talking about. So our next thing you guys need to do is smash that like button so we can get this out there and help out the YouTube algorithm. So before we get into how to make so much money, we need to figure out what is happening here. What kind of bubble are we talking about? What kind of recession? Now this is what I want to go to about, and this is also for Microventures, is to figure out how much of the national debt each president or each term has been getting into. You can, if you start looking at these terms, how much our national debt per president has increased. Because to me, my opinion, I think we are in a debt crisis, and the United States has very, very little assets and a lot of liabilities. So we're gonna have a lot of problems. And what my personal opinion also is that the Federal Reserve is going to have a huge amount of influence in this next recession. I know they're doing it now, but I think it's going to be a whole lot worse. And these charts under our current president or our next president is going to be a jump. So here's our current national debt. Let's see what it is after this recession. All right. Cool. Now the U.S. So right now we're looking at the U.S. national unemployment rate. We're sitting at about 3.7 right now. So what I don't like is when it starts slowing down, because once the unemployment rate changes and it spikes fast. Because if you look at 2007, 2001, these are quick changes, and it looks like that we're slowing down right now to a huge spike up. If that happens, that's a huge indicator that once people lose their jobs, they're going to start they're going to be delinquent on their house payments or credit card payments, and it's a snowball effect down. And this might make the recession worse. So if we go back to the beginning of the video, I was talking about second source of income. Have something that you can do to make income. You can do Uber, trading, selling things off of Amazon. Just find a way to make a second source of income that's significant. All right. Our next one is going to be Dow gold ratio. So for me, it's something that I personally follow all the time, is that when the Dow gold ratio is high, that means it takes about 22.36 ounces, about 20 ounces now of gold to equal the Dow. It seems like the Dow is a little bit overvalued. No, not a little bit. I think way overvalued. But this chart can give you an indication about if you see these lines right here, these are recessions. So recessions, and showing you what the gold price was. So our next one is gold silver ratio. So the gold silver ratio is important to figure out which one is more undervalued, gold or silver. to me, I think silver is far undervalued. So the reason, far more undervalued. So the reason why I bring up gold and silver is because during a recession, having something that you can physically hold other than paper fiat is because paper fiat, the price of an apple might go up 50x, 10x, but measured in gold, it might be a significantly cheaper amount. Your purchasing power is much better. So for me personally, I'm buying gold and silver as much as I can. So this crash, I make a tremendous amount more. So our next thing would be how to buy. I buy from APMEX. Now, my personal website, AndreJMcClendon, will be going live in about 2 weeks. We will be selling precious metals and have a storage, and that will be available. So please check that out. So our next thing is the federal funds rate. Right now, it is a big drop. It's at 2.13%. I'm sorry, 2.12. So the Fed, to me, I hate the Fed. I do not like the Fed. It pisses me off that they're able to inject cash basically for free and pump up the markets and they basically can do whatever they want because they have their own trading desk. So if we zoom out a little bit and see what the federal funds rate has been for a while, you can tell that since they were almost at 0% for such a long time, all that easy cash has been influenced, I would say, into the stock markets, pumping up such a bubble. And that's from our last crash of 2007. And the Fed overreacted, going down to 0%. And all this economic stimulus is going to be punishing Americans or people around the world just because of the Fed. Understand that and capitalize that. Central banks are buying precious metals. So if the banks are buying precious metals, I'm buying precious metals. Cool. So here's their Fed's target versus reality. You can go into see what is a reality. I just tell them, like, the Fed, they can only do one thing: just print. That's it. Print. They can try to control interest rates, but all they're doing is hurting around the world economy by putting out that fake money. So our next thing is some news from Zero Hedge. Now, Zero Hedge is the news source I always give out. There's a lot of things coming out about this recession. Please check it out, please. And also, the 30-year-old hits below 2%. Now, this is another article. I'm not going to go so much into it. I want to kick it back to precious metals and why they are also important a little bit more in depth. Because precious metals, once you own it, it's yours. There's no counterparty risk. So if something happens, like if the banks lock up your money, kind of like that they did in Greece, how they locked up people's accounts, they can only withdraw so much amount. Owning precious metals on hand or even at Brinks or somewhere else can give you liquidity so you can get that into your fiat to pay for whatever. And you might do a 20x or a 10x or whatever amount goes up or even stay flat. So staying flat is better than going negative when it comes to precious metals. So this is what I'm doing. The most important steps before owning gold and silver, in my opinion, is following the budget, have an emergency cash. Also, find a second source of income. It can be another job. It can be doing a task that you're skillful at. Something just that you need to do something different this time. The last crash, people somehow got knocked off guard, but this one is pretty easy. The debt is absolutely crazy. So capitalize off of it or get wiped off. Thank you guys for making it this far. Have a beautiful day. Visit my website, AndreJMcClendon. It goes live September 1st, 2019. I was watching this in or now. But please prepare yourself. Have a nice day.